Hi, I'm Chris Brown, and this is Module 1.14 in Axiomatic Design of Manufacturing Processes, a grad course at WPI. So for the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about the project for this course. So the project is to design a manufacturing process or a manufacturing tool, and this is important for fulfilling the objectives of the course. It's integrating the application to a design problem, and we want to use axiomatic design. We want to use manufacturing process analysis, which we'll take up in the next series of lectures, and knowledge from the technical literature, which we just spoke about in the previous module. So this is going to be done in steps. So there's homework assignments that help us learn more about the literature. And the first few homework assignments are getting into the literature to see if we can dissect a paper properly and find the interesting information and select reasonable papers. Then we have the lectures and the exercises and the reading to learn about axiomatic design and manufacturing processes. So as I said, we have homework assignments, learning about the literature, and then lectures and exercises, and then a series of assignments that relate directly to the project. So the details are on my WPI, but here's the series that relate directly to the project. So the first thing is the project proposal. The second is the state of the art. The third is a draft of a decomposition. The fourth is applying metrics, tolerances, and interactions, and then the final project. Now the first assignment, the proposal, the objective is so that I can give you guidance on the selection of a project that will help you integrate the axiomatic design into that should be your engineering experience. So what you're going to discover too in the process of putting together the proposal and looking at the state of the art, is this a good area to be working in? Is it one where we can integrate information from the state of the art? Are there archival journal articles out there that address the topic that I'm interested in? One word on this too, as you look at the literature for your project, you'll look first most specifically at the details that your project is addressing. Now, very often we don't find anything on the specific details of what we're interested in, what we're working on. So then we need to expand the search. Now, the search is in a kind of multi-dimensional space. Methods might be one dimension, analysis might be another dimension. The design approach might be another dimension. So we can take a look out in all of these different dimensions and see what is the closest thing to what we're working on. So we can define the borders of knowledge around what we're working on. Another approach, if we don't find anything immediately in the literature on what we're working on, and this can really be a good thing, is to take a look, instead of at the precise technical literature, say in manufacturing, expand and take a look. Let's take a look at physics or something more basic. Well, it doesn't get much more basic than physics, but so we could take a look at more basic sciences or similar kinds of things. Maybe similar things in other fields we could look at. But the objective of the proposal is to make sure that you're on track, and make sure that you're on track at a very early time. The proposal will essentially become a large part of the introduction. There's a template for the proposal, and this is to make it easier for me to evaluate it, so please be considerate. When things are on a computer, just single space them and use the same font and size and numbering that is in the template. I prefer, although I haven't used it here because it got transformed in PowerPoint, I prefer Times New Roman. Have a header that says that this is the proposal, and give the date on which you're submitting it. Give the working title and your name and email address. The proposal should clearly state what the objective is, and as I said in the previous lecture, I like to start with the objective so that we know what we're talking about. Not everybody does that, but that's what I like to do. So I'd like you to do this. And so the first sentence should be saying something like, the objective of this work is. And so you want to perhaps present the customer need that is being satisfied. That's a good way to present the objective. Maybe you get FR0 worked in to the objective as well. Be careful you don't stray from the objective. The objective can be just one sentence. And so if you find yourself putting in something about approach or methods or something else, then you've probably gone too far, and you want to save those items for the approach or the method section. Rationale. Why is this important? So we could address economic motivation, we could address societal need, we could address the technical challenges. So those might be three things that typically we find addressed in the rationale. State of the art. What, as I was talking about earlier, what are the current things that are closest to you? Do you have to go further out and further away to find things that where are the closest things? And here, maybe more to the point, there's different kinds of literature that we might look at. Now, we've talked a bit about the scientific and technical literature. There's also commercial literature, somebody else producing this. This is important to know before you go design something. If somebody else is already selling it, and of course the patent literature. Perhaps that intellectual property has already been protected. So in the state of the art, I would like to see scientific and technical literature foremost, because that in many ways is the most valuable. But not always. Commercial literature and the patent literature. So let's take a look at all three. And again, expanding out from what you're doing to see what the closest thing is in each of these cases. For the in-text citations, use the Harvard format or something similar, so that you've got the author's name and the year. So we have an idea of who's written this and how recent it is right there in the text. And it makes it much easier for you too than using number systems, because the numbers tend to float around and you forget how to number them unless you're using somebody's software. But I would like to see the name and the year in the text. If it's one author, it's just that one. If it's two, use the two. If it's three or more, you use et al. Et al is an abbreviation for something in Latin, and the AL gets a period. The et does not. There's no need to put extra commas in if it's really clear there's a number and a name, so you don't need to do that. I'm not very fussy on the format as long as you follow some of the generalities, and I'll call your attention to it in some of the earlier homework so you can get it right by the final paper. We want to see FR0 and DP0 as part of the project proposal. So, and what the theme is that you're going to develop, and maybe some explanation for that. We'll be talking more about themes in upcoming lectures. So it's Harvard citation format or something similar for the reference section as well. What's important here is to get the author, the year, the title of the article, the title of the journal, and the page numbers, so it can be easily found. You can provide the digital locators as well, that can be helpful. In the final report, see my WPI. There's a template there, and there's the grade distribution for the different sections of the paper. So that shows you where you should put in your emphasis and where most of the grade is. So take a look at that, and we'll talk more about that later. Let me say too, in finishing, my objective here is to help everybody in the class earn an A on the project, if I can possibly do that. You need to make some effort, of course. You need to make good effort, but if you're willing to make the effort, I'll work with you, and I want to try to facilitate everybody earning an A. It makes it so much more fun to read the projects at the end of the course. Right. Thank you for your attention. This concludes Section 1 of the course, and the next lecture will start with 2.